What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Cover 3 podcast. I'm joined by my co host, Dre from Dre Area Sports,
Yeah.
and special guest, Mike of SF Gold Rush. You know him from Mondays on 49ers Unfiltered. Talking a little Niners off-season news, Trent Williams, just kind of the fallout after free agency and what we think about that, and a lot more other topics. A lot more other topics. That sounded great. A lot of other topics to talk about as well. So before we get into that, guys, how you doing? Dre, what's up, man?
I'm doing great. It's Friday, favorite day of the week. Don't got work tomorrow, so it's always nice. And just pumped to talk about the Niners. We got the draft coming up in almost a month. It's gonna get real exciting on the channel. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
Mike?
Yep, happy Friday, guys. We got news coming up left and right. Draft about to happen. Niners still got some holes to fill. So let's see what they do with all that money they got.
Yeah, one of the things that's going on right now that we need to talk about is the Trent Williams situation. Let's see if I bring this up here, do this the right way. Hey, look, it's us on X.
Hey!
Oh, of course. What am I doing here? So let's go to the profile.
I don't know. Oh.
There we go. Yeah. So, where are we going?
There was my stream. Well, there's Barry Sanders.
So let's talk about a little bit of the Trent Williams situation. So today, the 4 p.m. Deadline came and went. The Niners did not exercise Trent Williams' $10 million option. They're on the hook for about $47 million this year. We don't have to bang this one over the head too much. Just you guys concerned? I mean, Sterling's not concerned. He said it's 100% they'll get it done. The Niners are confident they'll get it done. Anything in the back of your guys' mind that this could go into training camp and we could have another one of those situations like we did with Brandon Ayuk a couple years ago? Mike?
I think it could go into training camp just because Trent doesn't want to participate in training camp. So this could be his excuse not to, go to, all the OTAs and training camp and all that stuff. But I do think they have to get something done. Obviously, $47 million is ridiculous. And there's no way the Niners end up, fulfilling that this year. They're going to get something redone. They don't have a backup plan. So honestly, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just more worried that Trent's going to drag this out a little bit too long and we could have a repeat of the last time he held out and he got hurt pretty early on and, that kind of derailed stuff and he wasn't really ready to go when the season started.
Mike?
Dre?
Or Dre, excuse me. Oh, my God.
No, I mean, look, I don't really have any worry about this. Either way, the Niners are going to come out with getting something. So let's just say they're like, hey, you know what? Fuck it, we're going to trade him. Let's trade him, right? They're going to get something in return that's going to make their team better. Do I want Trent Williams to stick around? Of course I do, and I think he will stick around. I mean, look, the key factor is the Laramie Tunsil contract. When you look at that, I mean, Laramie Tunsil will receive $60.2 million with a $61.5 million in guarantees, right? And so with a signing bonus of $32.5 million, so whatever he's getting, Trent's going to get that. But probably maybe a little less because Trent is 38 years old, but he's going to get something right around there. And if you look at PFF, he was ranked as the number 3 best left tackle or tackle in general in the NFL. So I think as long as you kind of capture the essence of Tunsil's contract, Trent's going to be here regardless. And I think that's why they're like, oh, well, we're not really concerned about the $47 million salary cap number because they're going to restructure his deal anyway. And it's all going to change. So, look, they don't want to be locked into the $10 million option and the salary cap. They say, hey, look, we're not going to pick up that option. He's still under contract for this year. We're going to and they even said we're going to rework his contract and, they feel confident in reworking it before next month's NFL draft. Now, obviously, look, by putting the word out there by next month's NFL draft, it does put a little bit of a deadline on when they are presuming that they're going to, fix his contract or rework the contract. But it also gives the rest of the league an idea of like, hey, look, is this a guy that we want to make a move for? You know, like what if we offer them some picks for this guy? You know, you never know. I just don't think they're going to trade him. I think, you know, would you love to see what maybe some teams might offer for Trent Williams? Sure, why not? Doesn't mean you're going to do it, you know? So I think that I don't know if it'll get done before the draft, like they said, but I think it's going to get done before the season. And I think that that Trent's going to be here next season for sure, and beyond that as well.
How tired are you guys of this kind of thing every single season?
Well, I mean, he's like a diva. I mean, you know, he's an offensive lineman. He does this every single year. Like Trent Williams he's doing like what Kevin Durant did with the Warriors. Where every year he's like, oh, I got to re-up for another 1 year contract. Oh, I got to re-up for another 1 year contract. Although those were 2 year contracts that were actually 1 year contracts. And I think he's kind of in the same boat. He's at that age now where he's like, hey, season's over. Let's re-up and see where we're at. If he had a horrible season, let's say he was hurt all year and he didn't play at all, then maybe he'll say, hold on, okay, I can't really ask for that much money because I didn't really play. But no, he played a fair amount, and you know, I would say in the majority of the season. And like I said, PFF had him ranked as the 3rd best tackle in the league. So it tells you right there that the guy has a tremendous value. Yes, he's going to be 38 this season, but I still think that this guy's going to play probably until he's 40. Who knows how long he'll want to play, but I would think next year, even the year after, this guy's going to be, you know, one of the top tackles in the NFL.
Yeah, I just, you know, there's a lot of talk, and we'll get into it, about just, you know, the age of this roster, you know, like where we're going with this kind of thing. And
but that's the thing, though, is that like they don't even have a true successor to Trent Williams. Are they going to stick one of the guys that they signed, Toth, and whatever the fuck the other guy's name was? Are they going to put him at left tackle? Probably not. I mean, look, if they did that, if they traded him and put whoever they have on the roster, Austin Pleasant's in at left tackle, like they're going to do that after they went out and signed an old Mike Evans, an old Christian Kirk. You got an old George Kittle, an old Christian McCaffrey, and these are all by NFL terms. In real life, they're younger than I am. You know, you got these guys that are slightly aged, if you want to put it that way. An older Fred Warner, an older Dre Greenlaw. Then you're like, but that's Trent Williams. Nah, we're not going to sign that guy.
I think the whole team would be pissed off, right? Like all the older veterans would be like, hey, I thought we're trying to make a run at a Super Bowl, and you're going to trade, you know, Trent Williams away, and we're going to roll with Austin Pleasance. I think you would see choir boy Purdy maybe get a little gangster with Kyle, you know, if he took away his left tackle like that, and then like he might step into that office and be like, Kyle, we need to talk, dog.
Purdy's going to come into the office with like one of those diamond grills,
and
like, jewelry.
Nah, you don't go out and sign all these weapons and then say, oh, but your blind side better watch out because Austin Pleasance can't move to his left very well. You know, like, oh, what? No, you don't do that. I mean, look, Trent Williams is arguably one of the best left tackles, offensive linemen, who's ever played the game. Okay, he's considered that good of a player. And yes, he's 38 years old, and some people would say, whoa, he's 38. I would have moved on. But based on the way he played last season.
Move on to who?
So move on to who is one question. And then based on how he played last season, why would you want to move on? Now, if he comes out this season and he fucking sucks, he's getting beat left and right, and he's hurt, and he's showing signs of age, then you could say, okay, maybe it's time to hang it up. But so far, this guy, he's still dominating out there on the line.
That's Trent Williams is the reason why you can go cheap at left guard, because he elevates their play too, right? That's why they always go half-ass at the left guard position, because they're like, well, we got Trent next to him, and he'll, you know, he makes up for the difference. So he's like a 2-for-1.
No, he really is. Although, I mean, last season they put Connor Colby next to him, and that was a mess because Connor Colby was not ready to be a starter in the NFL. Yeah. And they were literally, teams were scheming up blitzes at Connor Colby because they were like, yeah, he's gonna fuck this up. Yeah. And it was working. So whoa.
Sorry.
This is a crazy layout. I love it. Okay, there we go. So, but no, I mean, I fully expect Trent Williams to be with the 49ers going into next season. You look at the guys they brought in, you look at the changes they made to the roster, to their coaching staff, what they've been saying about the draft and what they hope to accomplish. To me, there's no reason why they would say, hey, having said all that, let's get rid of Trent Williams. No, I think this is a guy that they want to work out a contract, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got a 2 to 3 year deal because they want to keep him around. And if he decides to retire, then that's a whole different story. But I mean, obviously, look, Trent wants more guaranteed money, and I think they're going to need him a contract that's similar to what Laramie Tunsil got. Like, what did I say? Tunsil got 60.2 million. Oh no, 61.5 in guarantees, and the signing bonus at 32.5. So they're going to give him something like that, where he's going to get paid like $30 million a year for the next 2 years, and that's it. What does he say? Hey, Mike, off-topic question, but what martial arts have you practiced?
He's very observant. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So
wow, jiu-jitsu.
Nice. Got to keep agile. So we're on this topic about old players, and before we go to the next thing that I want to talk about, which kind of connects with this, I'll just say, like, I am not against the worst case scenario, which is trading Trent for something. If it say we got someone in return, like if there was somewhere an offensive tackle was able to come here who's pretty good, so to say, and maybe he's not quite to Trent's level, but he's cheaper and he's younger and he's able to do the job, like a guy that could start on most teams. So that's kind of where I'm at. I personally wouldn't be against that because at the end of the day, like, we got to start planning for the future, and we got to start making moves that are going to alleviate some of this money on these older players, which is why I want to go into the next topic, which is Grant Cohn was on 95.7 The Game, and he was talking about he thinks that the 49ers aren't building for the future. Like they're more of in a win now mode. So I'll start with Dre. I'll ask you, just with the Trent Williams situation, with the free agents we brought in, and I'm not going to bring up the audio or whatever because I don't want to watch it. But what's your observation as far as, like, do you think the Niners are kind of giving it one last hurrah and not really worried about the future?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think that because of the fact that you got guys like, Fred Warner, Kittle, your core is already starting to age. They're closer to 30. I mean, the average age on the Niners roster is 30 and a half, right? So they know, hey, look, how do we compete against the teams that are in our own division? Right now, our division is like the cream of the crop, right? You saw the Patriots go up against the Seahawks. They got creamed. They got destroyed. They weren't ready for that kind of competition. So they are in an elite division. So how do we compete with that, right? So we can bring in a guy like Mike Evans, right? Now we have a big target, a guy that, is a huge red zone threat. You go out and you sign Christian Kirk, a guy that can, play the slot. To me, everyone's, I even put a video out saying, yeah, this guy could be a slot receiver. Forget the idea of bringing back Deebo Samuel. He's going to be your slot receiver, and he can stretch the field and open things up. I still think that there's opportunity to sign or bring in another receiver because really Christian Kirk is going to replace Sky Moore. Christian Kirk is now your return guy.
Yep.
And we saw what we got out of Sky Moore. So Christian Kirk can do all of that, but he's a better receiver. So now you're going to get a better receiver than what you got out of Sky Moore, right? Because Sky Moore, let's face it, he's a failed receiver that started to put it together last season, and that's why he got his contract with the Packers. But I think that, as much as I hated seeing Sky Moore leave, I think they literally let him go to sign Christian Kirk because they wanted a better receiving option on the field than what Sky Moore can provide for them, right? Yeah. But I still think there's opportunity to bring in another receiver, which I think they're going to. And I think, when they brought in Mike Evans, I was like, there's no way they're going to draft a receiver in the first round. Hell no. But I think if a guy like Omar Cooper Jr. is available in that first round, they're probably going to take him. Watching his highlights, he reminded me a lot of Deebo Samuel. He ran a lot of gadget plays, end arounds. That's something that I can see them doing, or even going with the guy in the second round, like a Casey Concepcion. I think the first and second round pick is going to be a receiver because they want to keep that receiving core young and fresh, and they're going to hope that Ricky Pearsall can stay healthy. Because, I mean, look, when you watch the highlights of last season, right, up until the Jaguars game, which was what? I think that was week 3, right? Up until that game, or was that week 4?
Week 4.
It was week 4. Up until that Jaguars game, Ricky Pearsall was fucking amazing. He was, he had that pass where it was back shoulder low and he caught it with one arm. Mm-hmm. He had that over the shoulder deep pass that he caught against the Cardinals. He was making some amazing plays. He had that deep pass against Seattle to get them into the red zone. And so he was doing a lot of amazing things. The problem was he got hurt. And then we were like, where is this guy? Where is this guy? So this guy has the potential to be a really good receiver. And I've always said, I think that Pearsall can be the Brandon Ayuk of what we had in 2023. So with that being said, I still think this is a win now situation. Like, hey, we want to be able to compete. If they were in a shittier division, I think, maybe they take it a little slower. But no, they're in a very competitive division. They want to be able to compete now. And they want to be able to eventually, for the season, win now as well. I mean, they have a third-place schedule going into 2026, but they still have a bunch of draft picks. I think they have 4 fourth-round draft picks. That's a lot. I would love for them to sell a third-rounder, but when you look at it, who would be available in the third round, Osa Odigizua is better than anyone they can get in the third round. So they were like, yeah, let's do it. So this team is still going to invest heavily into the draft. They're going to analyze, and that's why they brought in more guys to help them draft and get better players on their team. That's why they brought in what's-his-face from the Vikings. How do you say his name?
Quasi, or was it?
Quasi, Fozzie, whatever it was.
Yeah,
Fozzie Bear?
Yeah, Waka. But they brought in that guy, the former GM of the Vikings. They brought him in because they wanted more people in there to help them develop and draft better players. So they even said, Mensa. I'm a part of Mensa. Anyway,
I think he just begged them for a job.
What insurance do you have? I have Mensa.
I have Mensa. But no, and he's like, Strawberry said, Pearsall doesn't play the X. He plays the position. He plays a Z. But you have an X in Mike Evans. And what I'm saying about the Brandon Ayuk thing is that I just think that Ricky Pearsall's a man beater, and Ricky Pearsall is able to move the sticks and do the things that Brandon Ayuk was doing. And I think he's going to be open a lot more because now you have Mike Evans out there. You're eventually going to have George Kittle running around out there, Christian McCaffrey running around out there. So you're going to have a lot of targets. So that's why I think like an Omar Cooper Jr. would be awesome if they can get him in the draft.
Mike, before I let you go, let you talk, my thing with is this, like, there's parts of the 49ers team like last year that was really young, right? Like they were young on defense, like across the board. Other than Bosa, and Fred, I mean, those two guys, there was a lot of youth on that defense. So bringing in Osa, the defensive tackle, the other DB or whatever. My whole thing is like, you can't go young everywhere. You have to have veterans in some point in some parts of your roster. And my thing is if they hit the draft and they're able to kind of fill some holes on both sides of the ball, you can have that mix of veterans and rookies. You don't want to have a bunch of young guys who are going through growing pains and going to cost you winnable games. But at the same time, you don't want to depend on old heads for long. The Niners have to, and me and you have been really critical of how they've drafted these drafts the next 2 years, and how it depends on how last year's went, are crucial to elongating a competitive Super Bowl or playoff window. So I think they can balance both if they're able to hit in these next couple of drafts, and guys can start to move on like a Christian McCaffrey or other players like Trent. But I don't know. I want your take on it.
Yeah, I think I agree with Dre. I think they are in a win now mode. Why else would Mike Evans come here for a cheap contract? That's pretty much a 1-year deal, right? Unless they told him like, hey, dude, we're going for it. like he wouldn't go to like the Cardinals for the same money, right? Like just because the weather's better, he gets to play indoors or what. No, he's coming here because he believes the 49ers actually have a chance this season to go out and get it. Them bringing back Dre, that's a huge deal too. I'm pretty sure, Fred told Dre, hey, let's go run this thing back. Let's go try to get it. Adding, these older veterans with an aging veteran core, I think shows me that they do want to go all, like not all in, but they're pushing for it this year. You know what I mean? They know Trent. Who knows? Like you said, he could be gone after next year. We have no idea what his plan is, how long he's planning to play. George Kittle, how is he going to be when he recovers? He could be okay, or he could be like, hey, you know what? It's not good enough. I gotta call it a career. Fred is just dying to get, be competitive again and just be in the mix. So I honestly believe they're trying to go for it. But like the big if always is, can they have a competent draft? That's what it always boils down to, because even last year's draft, I give it a C. I mean, that was supposed to be a home run draft. And to me, it looks average. Like, okay, you did okay. But this draft really, really needs to be out of the park. And that's why I don't want them to pigeonhole themselves in one position. I want them just to, whoever the best player available is. I don't care if it's wide receiver, offensive line, linebacker, running back. I don't care. Just get someone who can get on the field and produce at a high level, not just a warm body who's like, oh, he was a draft pick, so we're just going to let him play. Like, no, we need a draft pick who's going to contribute at a higher level. And I think that's why they keep whiffing in these drafts, is because they keep pigeonholing for need instead of who's the best one out there that can just go out there and ball out.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely in a position now where they can kind of be more selective in terms of saying who's the best player available and let's just draft him. But I still believe that they're going to want, in the first round, they're going to try and get the best receiver available, because they know that, hey, look, Mike Evans is probably going to be here for 1 year, maybe two. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you still need to continue to rebuild that receiving core, because that's such a valuable part of a Kyle Shanahan offense. Mm-hmm. So I think first round pick goes to a receiver.
Yeah, you could be right, because we don't know if they're even going to pick up Ricky's 5th year, right?
We don't. So, they probably will.
Depending on how he plays, they might be like, yeah, we're in a full rebuild mode in the wide receiver core. So
the crazy thing is, here's this: if Watkins takes a step up, if Cowling takes a step up next year, Pearsall takes a step up, the Mike Evans and Christian Kirk signings are going to look amazing, right? Because then all of a sudden, you're like, man, it's so much depth, right? The scary part is if those guys continue to either be hurt, and we have to depend on these geriatric. I'm 46, so I really shouldn't say that, but these older players, that's the fear I have. That's why, like you said, we got to hit. Lori Matthews seems to disagree with you, Mike, is in the sense that she doesn't think last year's draft was a C, because we really haven't seen the maturation of these players yet. Sometimes it takes, more than one season. I think the way that they were selling us on last year's draft, especially John, and kind of what we saw in the field were kind of two different things. There was definitely a lot of growing pains, especially like with Murky Siegel. Even Upton Stout had some growing pains. And we didn't see consistency all season from, CJ West and Alfred Collins. But I think they're all NFL players. It's not like they drafted guys that can't play in the league, right? But, I'm okay with the veterans. I'm okay with filling holes with temporary solutions if you can bang out another a successful draft. Like you said, best player available. Do not go and say, like, no, we need this position. Whoever the most talented guy is on the board, take him. Whatever the position is.
Because that's why they keep failing, is because they keep trying to push for need in very specific positions, and they keep whiffing. And instead, you could just draft the best player who can go on the field and just play.
But it's hard, though, because, when you look at last season, what'd they do? They drafted Michael Williams with the number 11 pick, right? You come into this draft, and what do you say? Well, we got to get an edge rusher. We got to draft one. Well, we just did. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Michael, but he's an edge setter. He's good against the run. He's a quality player. But
that you can find later or
right.
a cheaper option in free agency.
This is the point that me and Mike have talked about, and I want to piggyback off of you, Dre. The Niners drafted Michael for scheme fit. Me and Mike were like, F that. Draft an edge rusher. I don't care if the guy's a scheme fit. Get a better player. Like, get a player that is a consistent, actual edge rusher that can complement Nick Bosa. I don't want to hear at 11 that you're picking a defensive end that's a good run scheme fit. Who wants to see that? Like, nobody wants that.
Well, I mean, they were horrible against the run the year before, and so they wanted to make sure that they shored up that run defense with Michael, C.J. West, and Alfred Collins, right?
Right.
So going into this draft, they have a young core at their defensive line that is already built in, right? Now you add to that, you add more pieces to that, you add another edge rusher, maybe like a Zion Young, okay, or later on like a Cassius Howell. You add another edge rusher to that defensive line. I still think, and I'm really surprised by this. I fully expected the Niners to already announce a deal with Joey Bosa, because I'm like, look, if you bring in Bosa, you could still draft an edge rusher, and now it takes less pressure off that young edge rusher, to be that guy who gets the quarterback consistently.
For sure.
Yeah. And look, you have Sam O, but that's like at this point, if you draft an edge rusher, he's like your third option, and that's where he should be. He's a good quality backup and role player, but it's not like your starter like he was last season because everyone got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, look, with all the injuries they had last season, right? They still made it to the playoffs, and they went what? Overall, they were 13-4. Is that what it was? I mean, that's pretty good for losing Fred Warner, losing Nick Bosa, and all the shit they had to go through, right? Now, imagine this year if they're healthy and they add more pieces in the draft. I mean, this team could be really, really good.
Yep. That's to me, it's a fine line how you build your roster. If you go too old and you don't make it, now people are going to shit on you and they're going to be like, "Oh, look at this! They doubled down on all these old guys and they have nothing down the pipeline that can develop." Like I said, I think you have to balance draft and free agency really carefully. So the Michael pick will look better if he gets to play the position that he was meant to play, which is really kicking inside on pass rush downs and having an actual real edge rusher. Because then all of a sudden, essentially, if you have him at one defensive tackle on third down pass rush, and you have that Osa from the Cowboys, and then you have Nick Bosa and another edge rusher on the other side, all of a sudden, if healthy, you have a legit front four that can rush the passer. Not stop the run, but just rush the passer.
Yeah.
That's why I think edge rusher at 27 is what I want, because I want that other guy. I want finally, since Steve Ford, who was like here and gone, they need a legit guy that can produce pressure off the other side on a consistent basis. And actually get some,
And that's why at 11, you can't take a Michael Williams because it's such a high pick for someone who can't do that. And if you need three other players to make him to be able to do that, then that's the wrong pick at that position or at that spot.
Well, I mean, right? I still think Michael is going to be a really good player. But he's not that guy that, at least right now, he's not that guy that's going to come in and give you 10.5 sacks that we know of. But then people were like, oh, they should have went with James Pierce Jr. He got 10 sacks or whatever more. But look, that guy just got arrested. He's probably going to do time. He's probably going to get suspended. So it's actually a good thing they didn't go for that guy. So, I think when you look at the draft, I mean, obviously, look, when you're in the top 10, there's a lot of for sure hits on some of these guys.
Yeah.
I still think that, looking back at the draft, I like Michael Williams, but I would have loved to have had Nicky Manwari. The Seattle drafted him.
Yeah.
And he was a dog. He was a playmaker for them on that defense. Now, the thing with the Niners is that what's been one of the biggest holes for San Francisco is safety. And that guy would have shored up that position in a big way. Having him and Upton Stout out there at the same time, that's sort of what they needed. And I get why they went for Michael, and I like Michael, but
because they went for need. See, again.
Well, and of course,
they forced that pick.
But then you have that argument, Dante Whitner brought up, where you're like, hey, look, they keep going for certain types of players, right? They kept saying, well, Michael fits our the mentality that we want, right? He's a born leader. It feels like all they try to do is we want to bring in these leaders, these great guys, guys who command. But it's kind of like when you have too many leaders in the room, then who's in charge?
Yeah,
you got to have some guys,
mentally unstable guys.
You got to have the guys who aren't leaders. Yeah. I don't want to be a fucking leader, but I'm really good at my job, and I'm going to go balls out, and that's kind of what you need. And so, I do kind of think they need to go that route. And get some more guys in here that
I want a Justin Smith who's out there headbutting his left tackles, bro.
Yeah, I want a Jalen Carter who you get questions about, if he's going to go to jail or not. I mean, we got to have a little bit of that out there, right? You got to sprinkle that in. We got a lot of wholesome, good guys like a Samo, a Michael Williams, or lovable guys, but we need some dogs out there. And
I want some guy who's behind on child support payments.
Yes. I gotta get if I get 25 sacks this year, they're gonna give me a bonus, and I need that for my child support payments. Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, I hate that lady, my baby mama, but still.
John Lynch, like, but they scored well on the Wonderlic. I don't care.
Yeah.
Can they rush the passer, please? Jeez Louise with this choir boy garbage, man. Give me some people that are mentally irregular. The problem is we did have one. We've had a few last year, and the previous year we had Goofy Nuts, the linebacker that quit on us. I forget his name.
Oh, Devondre.
Yeah. So.
But still,
you guys say this, but Ayuk's mental health is sitting on the roster. He's going to be gone soon.
Yeah. Well, Ayuk came to get on the field because he's just ghosting everybody. He's driving by the stadium at like 100 miles an hour. Like, I mean, look, we say that, but yeah, I mean. Look at Brandon Ayuk. I mean, one thing if he was out there playing, but he's not. He's not even trying to get out there. He's like, just to release me so I can go to Washington. And look, we'll get to that, I'm sure, later. But,
we're not going that route, Flory, or Strawberry. We're not going that they need to bring in people that beat their wives.
I want convicted felons out there. That's not what we're saying.
It's like every time you have a diva, like every really great receiver that's been in the NFL has always been a diva. That are selfish. They want the ball all the time, right? Jerry Rice wasn't really a diva, but he did command the ball quite a bit. Same with T.O., same with Moss, all these other guys.
Yeah.
Nobody says you have to have a guy that's going to be, but
No, we just want a guy who's like Greenlaw, pretty much, on the D line.
Yeah, someone who will play kind of close and maybe pass the whistle. Yeah, that's what we're trying to say. Give me another Greenlaw. Give me somebody that might get a roughing the passer penalty because he takes a cheap shot at the quarterback. And then is just like, oopsie, and like, but he can get 14 sacks.
Yes, give me Greenlaw on his penalties. Absolutely. Did you see what we had last year? I'll take that all day. Please.
Give me Greenlaw.
They're going to get 15 yards on a run up the middle anyway without Greenlaw there because the linebackers are missing their responsibilities. At least make it for a penalty.
Right. So you put this in your profile before we started the stream, Trey, and it kind of fit with the topic that I had. And it's you said 3 needs that the 49ers, I don't know if you meant like for free agency before the draft or the draft, but as I have really here the topic, anything. What roster holes do they need filling before the draft? So if we're going to focus on, say, three positions that I think the Niners in these dwindling kind of the end of free agency days where it's just like whatever at this point, I'll start with Dre and then I'll go to Mike. What position would you mind? It doesn't even have to be 3, but it could be just one that you really want that you would like to see maybe them address before the draft.
Before the draft?
Trent
Williams. No, before the draft, I would say edge rusher. I mean, like, if they announce a deal with Joey Bosa, I'd be excited. Because you got to get another edge rusher, an experienced edge rusher out there There's the whole thing with Jonathan Grenard, but again, you have to trade to get him, and more than likely, you don't even have a third round pick left, so that's probably what would land him. You could try to do a fourth rounder, but when you look at their stats side by side compared to last season, Joey Bosa and Grenard, Bosa's numbers are better. Bosa had more sacks. Bosa had more tackles, and Bosa played in slightly less snaps than Grenard. Yeah, they'll be on IR together. So
that's my fear.
Kenny, at least they'll be together. Okay, you can say, "Oh, there they are, the Bosa brothers."
Jeez,
but
so bad
because you're still going to draft an edge rusher or two in the draft, and I think that you bring in a guy like you bring in a veteran, a Joey Bosa. If he does go down, at least you have the guys you drafted to step up. You don't have the guy you drafted, and then he's hurt. Sam-O, you're up. And it's like, oh crap, here we go again. You want to get as much depth as you possibly can on your roster. And how do you build depth? You bring in youth through the draft, and you sign veterans that have experienced veterans that kind of start ahead of your younger players. And I think that's what they need to do. Everything was pointing towards like, oh yeah, he's coming here. Bosa's good. They're gonna sign the other Bosa. And then all of a sudden, like, it's all quiet in the Western Front. Like, we're dealing with Trent Williams, and we're signing a new punter who's actually really, really good too, by the way. But
Mike was very happy about that last week.
Yeah. He was better than Thomas Morstead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
all you can ask for.
Thomas Morstead sucked.
Yeah.
He was not very good. Towards the end of the season, he had some shitty punts where it was like, bro, what are you doing? I could have threw the ball farther than that. Like, what the fuck? Insider my foot. What? So look, I want them to address the edge, another edge rusher. Everyone keeps saying O-line. I don't see anyone out there that's going to be a difference maker
at this point. Nope.
The sad part is the safety position is something that they really need to address. But every good safety that's out there is gone. All the good ones are gone. They've all signed. Some of them have been traded for. There's one guy out there that I think is still in play if something were to happen. But now you're looking at, okay, maybe we draft another safety, right? But then you look at your roster, like, well, we drafted Marquise Siegel. Is he the answer? Yep. Probably not. We drafted Jair Brown. Is he the answer? Probably not. And then who else is there? Then we have to go find some guys to sign and bring on the roster, right? Pinnock's gone. He was terrible anyway. And so it's like, what do you do? And so I think that if Jalen Ramsey gets cut, if he becomes available, or if he is available to trade, I think they might make a move and get him, because Raheem Morris had him when he was a D coordinator for the Rams. And at least you get an experienced safety out there, with these young guys. But I would say edge rusher is what they should address, and safety. But I just don't know where they're going to go with safety unless you go through the draft or you make a trade for a guy like Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think if we're talking about before the draft, the easiest position to upgrade without, drafting somebody is defensive end, because there's still a couple guys that you can put in there that are better than Sam-O. So yeah, obviously I'm in the same camp of I would like Joey Bosa here. His numbers were actually pretty decent last year. He led the league in forced fumbles, and he produced. So that's all we can ask for, because we had nothing last year. We had nothing, and I think it would elevate, Nick. Him and the brothers playing together would elevate each other. They would feed off each other. And I think it would just be kind of cool. I don't know. I just see them together and them trying to do something. I'm all for it, because what we had last year was despicable. But offensive line, I don't really know where they're going to go here with, especially left guard. Are they going to throw in, wasn't it Toth? I think his name is. I'm guessing he's going to be presumably the week 1 starter, after training camp, in some competitions with some other guys. I don't know. We'll see, that's what makes me more sad, is like offensive line has always been the Achilles heel of this team. And what do? They got someone like off the bench to throw in there, and it's just like, all right, they just refuse to upgrade this position whatsoever. And I do believe safety is a massive, massive hole that really no one's really bringing the spotlight to. But I think it reared its ugly head last year, and they really need to find somebody who can cover back there.
Yeah, not having a free safety is really bad. Like,
yeah, everyone's a strong
safety.
safety. No one's that free safety, right?
Yeah.
Like
Jair Brown makes bad decisions, and he's not fast. He gets burned a lot. Can't tackle. He does make good plays. He'll sprinkle them throughout the season where you're like, "Hey, they're awesome! I love this guy."
He's living off of his Super Bowl pick of freaking.
But the next minute he does something stupid,
5-1, right?
Yeah.
Every time he makes like one good play, it's like 5 devastating plays.
And that's why I'm saying, like, if you got a guy like Jalen Ramsey out there, let's say he costs you like a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick. To me, it's like, hey, at least I have somebody with experience, a guy who's a proven playmaker, a guy who's won a championship. I've always liked him, back when he was playing for Florida State. I always thought he was a good player.
How about Jimmy Ward?
I think he's too old.
Too old. He's the same. He's just a box guy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, for me, I would address edge again before the draft, and then I would draft edge. Their pass rush was abysmal last year.
It's pretty bad.
So I'm totally okay. A lot of people are like, no, why? But we can't. No. 27, if there's an edge rusher on the board, you need to take him. I'm sorry. That was their worst position on the team last year. They got, 20 sacks last year? Yeah. They had less sacks than, oh my God. You know who I'm talking about from the Browns.
Myles Garrett.
Garrett had his full season. So if they sign Joey Bosa and then sign another edge rusher at 27, my whole thing is Bosa would actually be the backup for the rookie. And I think they could
rotate him.
So the rookie doesn't have all the responsibility on him. I think that would be, and then to have him in the room with Nick and Joey, who are technicians.
Yes.
That would be an amazing way to grow. Yeah. So I know we spend and Mike, I know you get tired of us spending it on the same position, but they need it. The defensive line.
I'm good. Best player available. If the best player's an edge right there, take him.
Knowing the Niners, though, they're probably going to go get a running back in the first.
Let's hope not.
You know what I mean? Like, we're like, yeah, and then they go get a completely different player.
Everyone keeps talking about Jordan James. They're like, they're really confident in Jordan James. They're like, what does he out of Jordan James? It wouldn't surprise me if, all of a sudden it was like, Niners re-sign Brian Robinson Jr. to a 1-year contract. Like, well, there it is.
Niners bring back Raheem Mostert.
Oh, God, I hope not. But it wouldn't shock me if they did bring back Brian Robinson on a 1-year deal. I could easily see them doing that. And then that way they're like, well, we don't have to solely rely on Jordan James to be our backup running back because he's still young. And I don't know. But they might go with Jordan James. I just
Kenny says the Niners probably going to draft wide receiver 27. I pray they don't. I am right there with you. Get him
they
in the
will.
Second round.
I hate to tell you this, but they're totally going to. I just did a mock draft, and Omar Cooper Jr. was available, so I took him.
Okay. Would you be okay, Mike, if they drafted a receiver at 27?
Yes, if it's the best player on the board.
Okay,
I'm
leaning that way too, because you cannot force an edge rusher pick if he's not the best player on the board.
Yeah,
but we need edge. I'm saying if the board falls that way, and there's someone there, and you could pair him up with the Bosa brothers as kind of like this, super mega like awesome depth, edge rusher depth, that'd be great. But yeah, if wide receiver is the best player, if safety is the best player at 27.
Oh, you absolutely pull the trigger.
If there's a free safety at 27, guys, it's not a sexy pick. You have to draft him.
Oh,
There's
I'm
not a question in my mind.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden, you've now shored up the back end, and then you can go edge rusher in the second round. And then all of a sudden, your defense is that much stronger with 2 players. So.
Yeah.
It's going to be this is actually going to be a fun draft. I know we only have a first, a second, and then 4. Yeah, we have 6 picks, I think. 4 fourths, a second, and a first. Something like that. But
yeah.
Like I said, they're probably going to draft people that we have no idea who they are, and they're going to be someone from a school that we don't know, and people are going to be rifling through their notes like, I don't know who this guy is. But let's go real quick. I know, Mike, you can only be for a little bit over an hour. Me and Dre, I could probably go the full like we usually do if you want.
Yeah.
Revisiting after the Christian Kirk signing, because I think prior to the Cover 3 show last week, he hadn't signed yet. I want to revisit, and we can make this real quick. Revisit your grades for the 49ers offseason 2 weeks in. Mine was a B- on the show on Monday with Mike. But I would love to see, Dre, what your grade is revisited. Just for everything they've done this offseason after the Christian Kirk signing.
I would say a B+. I like the guys they brought in so far. But again, these aren't young spring chickens. These are guys that are a little bit older. I mean, Christian Kirk was hurt most of last season. Mike Evans came off an injury-plagued year, but he's been consistently healthy throughout his career. So there's some good things, and there's some things I'm really worried about. I'm not going to say there's some bad things, but there's things I'm definitely worried about. Age and injury is one of them. Coming off a team that has been consistently injured, especially last year with all the injuries they had. If this was a team that didn't have these kind of injury problems, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Let's run it. But, yeah, I would say a B+, because I like the pickup in Mike Evans. I knew they were going to do that. I knew they saw what Devontae did, and they were like, we need that. So they definitely did that. They got Christian Kirk, which I think was a quality signing. When they announced that, I wasn't like, what? I was like, oh, you know what? That's a quality signing. I like that. And to me, like they're trying to go for it. They're trying to stay competitive. I don't know if you call this going all in. But I think that they want to be as competitive as possible in an elite hard division in the NFC West.
I don't think it's an all-in year. An all-in would have been if we were really like a lot more talented and we said, screw it, let's trade a bunch of firsts for Max. Let's get the guy and put us over the top. I think they're not all in, but they're definitely trying to be competitive this year. They realized, I think, that they didn't have any depth last year. They were so thin at every position.
Well, they knew that going in. They knew they were going to be a little thin, and then everyone started getting hurt, and they were like, oh, crap. And look, a lot of teams weren't that hurt. They were exceptionally hurt. So then they were really on the, you saw a lot of fringe players. You saw a lot of Robert Beal out there, and you're like,
yeah.
Like, if he's out there, it's bad, So, yeah, I would say B+. Mike, or I think you already said it, didn't you?
Yeah, I give them a B. I think the main reason why I gave them just a strict B was because they didn't do anything with the offensive line, and I think that was my main thing. I really wanted them to address that position because in every single big game of this entire tenure, it's always come down to blow-ups on the offensive line, and they just refuse to address it. And to me, it's like the most. I can't get over how they just refuse to upgrade the offensive line. And other than that, I'm like you said, Dre, I'm good with the Evans, with Kirk, all the signings, bringing back Dre, love it. Unfortunately, I still believe they have the third best roster in the division, even after all the people that they brought in. And but it gets them in the right direction. Do they have to add more depth pieces? Yes. Is there still holes? Absolutely. Hopefully they can have a serviceable draft this year and bring in some players that can be impactful. And we'll see what happens with Trent Williams. But if Trent Williams is gone, they're getting an F- from me because you can't go into the season with Austin Pleasance. So we'll see how this grade changes.
I was just where is it? You are definitely channeling your inner Aaron right now. He's giving them a D for the offseason. B- for me. And the B minus just goes with the fact that they brought in older players and to kind of double down on what Joseph Verberg is saying. And somebody said a lot of them be on injury list by week 1. The age, like you said, the non-addressing of the offensive line, it's B plus would have been if they would have just, I don't know. I don't know what would have changed to make it B plus, but B minus just based on bringing in older players, not addressing offensive line, still not addressing safety. And that B minus for me. I have nothing really more to kind of elaborate on it other than that. So,
I mean, it's still a question of like who's going to play left guard. They don't even know. There isn't it's going to be him. It's not going to be Spencer Burford.
It's going to be that Troth guy.
Troth, whatever the fuck his name is. Troth.
So what? Him and Connor Colby are going to be in a camp battle.
Well, they signed 2 offensive linemen. They signed Troth, and there was another guy they signed.
Yeah, I think he's like more of like a swing tackle, right, or something.
Yeah, something like that. So, and then they're going to draft guys too. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was really hoping that they would address that guard position, and they just really did not.
Just upgrade a little. Just get one player who's a little bit better than who's on there right now, and then they just couldn't do it. They're like, no, we're gonna find someone maybe a little bit worse, just to piss off the fans.
Yeah, it's I mean, at least they were somewhat aggressive this offseason and tried. You know what I mean? Last year it was just like they resigned the fact that they weren't going to spend any money, and they resigned the fact that they were resetting. So whatever, it's weird. I don't even know how to feel about last year still, because it's like they weren't meant to be competitive for a Super Bowl. But they got into the playoffs, and so like once they get into the playoffs, it's like whatever, you expect, I'm a 49er fan. I expect them to win every single year.
I mean that signing of Osa though, that was a home run. So that to me was absolutely incredible. That guy is going to change the entire defense, and he's that guy we've been missing since Buckner left. And I'm very surprised that they were able to pull it off, and I'm surprised the Cowboys traded him to us in the first place. So
yeah,
home run hit from
maybe that'll be our Charles Haley.
Maybe
92 or 91 when the Niners.
He's a baller, man. He is a baller.
Crazy. Let's see here.
I mean, there is some options out there in free agency, but I mean, like Joel Bitonio, but he's 34 years old, and he's old too. He's like, but he's a weathered guy. I mean, there are some options out there, and I think they will explore those options as probably after the draft, because they want to see what they can get. But they really got to show up that left guard position. I don't like the idea of like, it's going to be a competition. Like, how are you going to compete for a Super Bowl? And you're like, I don't even know who's going to be our left guard. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's competition. Like, no, it shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be an open competition. Everybody sucks ass. Your offensive line is your biggest Achilles heel, other than
maybe
your pass
maybe
rush.
McKivitz can take Connor Colby under his wing and have him run the hills of San Fran and get his body back in shape, because
somebody needs to slap Jed in the face if they do that trash like they did last year. Like, oh, look, we're picking an offensive lineman in the 7th round. Like, it's not funny. It's not funny. Like, I don't find that. I was so mad at that tweet. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not the no. Like, you need a legitimate starting center left guard, and you're sitting there making a joke about drafting Connor Colby in the 7th round. Not feeling that. I feel like Jed is in the same mindset of Kyle and John, where the offensive line is not considered a premium position. It's all about the people that touch the ball. Like you said, Mike, it's always the people that touch the ball that they care about. But how do the people touch the ball if you can't get it to them because your quarterback's on his ass all the time? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But all right. Let's go to we'll do a couple of rapid fire here before Mike gets out of here. Let's talk about the Jennings still not being signed. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanting $20 million a year.
He's not going to get that.
He's not going to get it. And I
he
think
never was.
No. You guys care to elaborate on anything like that?
I mean, Mike, why don't you go ahead since you're short on time?
I'm trying to think where his landing spots could be, right? Like, I know Miami just unloaded everybody, and they probably don't have any wide receivers, and maybe he can
Tutu
go there.
Atwell.
Oh, in Miami?
Yeah,
That's it?
I think so.
Yeah. So maybe JJ can go there.
Yeah, the
He
Chargers are interested.
he could take a little less because the taxes. But yeah, it's very. I'm actually surprised. I thought a team would go out and I didn't think he was going to get 20 million, honestly, but I thought he was going to get maybe 17 to 18. And I am a little surprised that he hasn't signed with anybody. And I don't know where he's going to fit, honestly. I think teams are going to wait till after the draft, right? They're going to go through the draft, see if they pick up wide receivers. If they don't, they're going to say, "Hey, JJ, you want to play for us for a cheaper contract?" And that might be where, like, him and Debo, right? Like, you would think a team would take a flyer on Debo, just something a little cheap, just to have a little weapon, an extra, gadget guy that they can play with. But
Do you
I
think
don't
it is
know.
that the league views some of our players differently than we view them, or the 49ers view them? Because maybe in the 49ers scheme, they're really, really valuable and they're productive, but any other scheme that they even like with quarterbacks, some people say that about, Purdy or Jimmy Garoppolo, blah. Like if he was in another system, he would look awful, but because he's in a Niners system, it makes him look great. It's really the system, not the player. Do you think that could be hurting him, or maybe he's just not as good as he thinks he is, and nobody wants to?
Year. I think it's a bad year because usually all of our players that are up for contracts always leave. That's why we always get these comp picks, right?
Yeah.
So they all usually go to other teams, no problem. But this is like, I think JJ just it's just bad timing for him this year. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe is his demands too high? He's not willing to take a pay cut. But after the draft, guess what? He's going to be stuck. He's going to have to take that pay cut because only a certain amount of teams are going to need a wide receiver at that point. So, yeah, we'll see.
I think the problem that we have with Juwan Jennings is that, he's 6'3", so he's got height. He's only 28 years old.
Yeah, he's relatively young.
But you got to remember, too, he was a 7th-round draft pick, and he's not fast. No. Like, he's not a burner. He's not a guy who is going to, take the top off the defense, or he's going to go deep and break away from you. He can't do that. And we saw against Seattle and even sometimes against the Rams and some of these better defenses, he couldn't get separation because that's not the kind of guy he is. When he was the third option, opposite, Debo and Brandon Ayuk, then he was good. Now, look, is there a chance he could come back on a cheaper deal? If the Niners, if he doesn't get signed, Niners come back later on and say, "Hey, 1-year deal, $7 million," possibly. But I think that if you brought back Juwan Jennings and your big three at this point would be, Evans, Pearsall, Jennings, with Christian Kirk even more into that Sky Moore role. To me, that's slow. Now you got two cogs, like, whoa, and then you got Pearsall running around. He's waiting to hurt his knee. I just think that,
or some pavement that I can fall onto.
I know. Where? And we keep talking about, like, hey, we need to get younger. We need to get faster, right? Well, we're not going to get much younger.
No.
So I think if you're going to do anything at receiver, you draft a receiver.
Yeah.
If that guy's available. Now, let's say they go to the draft and they don't really land on any of the better receivers that are out there in the draft. Then maybe you say, "Hey, look, Jennings is still out there. Let's throw him a little bit of money and see if he bites at it, right?" Which could possibly happen. Regardless, I could see Juwan coming back, but he's not fast. That's the problem. Is he clutch? Yeah, he makes clutch catches.
Yeah.
But is he your X receiver? No. Is he your number 2 receiver? Nah, not really. Is he a slot receiver? Well, no, because he's not fast. He's not shifty. And so I think, look, they find ways to get him open, and he makes those big catches, but $20 million a year, are you out of your mind? He should have taken the deal he got from the Niners, before the season started. He should have taken that deal, but
yeah.
No, I don't think that he'll get the $20 million. I think he'll end up signing a 1-year deal, maybe a 2-year deal with a team, but he's not going to be the primary receiver. So he was a 7th round pick.
my thing with the 49ers that a lot of us we crap on them for certain things, but they do have a good evaluation of their own players, and they are willing to let a guy like him walk because they can replace it in the draft or they could replace it in free agency. Christian Kirk has speed. He's a smaller guy, but he has speed, and he is a slot receiver. That was what he is, right? So, like, I mean, I don't have any feeling about him not coming back whatsoever because if Kirk can stay healthy and be the slot receiver, and he's got a little more juice, and he could be a kick returner too or a punt returner, like Mazel Tov, like welcome to the 49ers, man. Like I'm okay with letting Juwan Jennings go. He's not going to get $20 million anywhere. He's essentially just a jump ball player in the end zone. Like, he doesn't have any speed. He doesn't really have any moves. Like, we were talking about this, Mike, about the end of the divisional game, how like guys were just not getting open, running the wrong routes, just playing awful. So I'm okay. He was
being
great.
out bullied by Seattle, and usually he's the bully guy. But
he's usually the bully. Yeah.
If you can't win against Seattle, you're not good to us right now. You know.
But,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
he would only come back if it was like if they paid him like $6 million. Like, and obviously he's not going to take that.
Like like Dre said, he's just no. Like, I'm good with them not coming back. He's slow. I mean, I'd rather draft a receiver with some juice.
We all like Juwan Jennings. Love the guy.
I love
and
JJ.
If he came back on a cheap deal, I'd be okay with it. I'd be like, yeah, cool. I like it. But I just don't see it happening. I don't.
Mike,
any last words before you get out of here?
No, let's see what happens. Hopefully we get some news that Trent is going to stay soon, but I guess we won't find that out till draft time. And it's been a decent offseason. I'm happy with it so far. So let's keep the ball rolling with positive news, and hopefully
Ian Mike are two of the most negative guys that like the 49ers, and we both have been reasonably happy with the offseason, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely haven't done anything to really fuck it up. If anything, they've improved their team. So it's like, hey, good job on that front.
Yeah. I just want to see Joey Bosa here within the next week or so, and then at least we know that we have another bookend opposite of the other Bosa. And
absolutely.
Bosa in the middle. And I'll be pretty damn happy. So hopefully that happens soon.
Hopefully. Yeah. Mike, awesome. Thanks for helping us out.
Thank you guys.
The third guy. And hopefully I'll see you Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking Niners once again.
Sounds good. See you guys later.
Take care, brother. All right. One of the things that I wanted to get into, I have so much stuff open on the open tab, but it was just I wanted to play the video. It's Mike Evans pretty much talking about why he came to the 49ers, and get your take on it after. I gotta open up the old X again. So
here we go.
Open up X. Here we go. Aaron has a really hard problem with X. Let's go.
You don't even have it queued up?
No, because I've been talking the whole time.
Oh, we gotta look for it through your feed. It's somewhere in here. Let me find it.
Hey, look.
There's my post.
Hey, look, it's Mike again. All right, here we go. So this is him coming in to the Niners facility.
In NFL history, I'm here with new 49ers wide receiver Mike Evans, who officially signed with San Francisco today. Mike, welcome to the 49ers family.
Thank you.
What made the 49ers the next chapter in your career? And what excites you about joining Kyle Shanahan in this offense?
You said it, Kyle Shanahan. I've been a fan of his for a really long time. Love the way he calls the games. Love the way he treats his players. The weather's great. It's one of the best organizations in all of sports. So it was a no-brainer.
Definitely. Now, your streak of 1,000-yard seasons is tied with 49ers legend and Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. Now you're joining the franchise where he built his legacy. What does that mean to you, given all the history that's been created here on the West Coast?
That's pretty ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's all coming full circle. I know Jerry, and we got that record tied together, and hopefully I can do a little bit of what he's done in his career and hopefully bring some hardware like he did.
Mike, we're excited to see what you do here in the Bay Area. What's your message to all the 49ers faithful that are excited to see you play?
I'm excited to be here. I feel like I got a lot left to give this game, and I'm going to give it my all for this team, and hopefully we can try to get a championship.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
That was great.
Oh, how did we always go back to this god awful?
I don't know. Why do you even have this one? I'm like, all right,
It pops up every single time. Two people adjusted.
Mike Evans is Bonte Hill's low-key doppelganger. Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, he is.
I can totally
Yes, he
see
is.
that. No, I think he's gonna fit in. There we go. I'm like, come on, man. I think he's still gonna be a good signing as long as he stays healthy. A lot of these players, I mean, the biggest question is, can they stay healthy, and will they stay healthy? And only time will tell. But I think if healthy, he's gonna be a huge game changer for the Niners. But again, I think that when they go against some more physical man coverage type of defenses like Seattle, they might have a hard time. Seattle likes to play that a two-eye safety, that Tampa 2, and they don't come out of it because they're like, oh, you guys can't beat us, we're fast. But then again, they lost a lot of guys. They lost Reek Woolen.
Yeah.
They lost another one of their safeties. They lost Boye Mafe. They lost a bunch of guys, a lot of starters. So again, they're going to have to make up those differences. So I think they're going to be they're not going to be, they've taken a slight step down. They're still going to be very competitive, very good team. But remember, I mean, as good as Sam Darnold was last season, I mean, his defense bailed him out and didn't allow the other team to score. If you look at like the Niners when they had Jimmy Garoppolo, the defense did not let the other team score. It was only when they were forced to lean on Jimmy that the Niners just fell apart. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm great. I'm good with the Mike Evans signing as long as we kind of look at it from a realistic perspective. He's not a long-term answer, but he is definitely a true X receiver. I know he's coming off an injury last year, but he's been a relatively healthy player. He's been super productive. And I feel like if Kyle can make things work with a guy like Juwan Jennings, who's really slow, and other players last year, and somehow was able to get guys like Kendrick Bourne to be productive and all that stuff, I really think he can do a lot more with a guy like Mike Evans. Even if he's at 85% of what he's been his whole career. So I was happy with it. I was surprised. That was one of a couple moves that you were right on top of in the offseason. I just thought it was incredible. But yeah, I'm glad with Mike Evans. He does remind me totally of Bonte. Like it's not even funny. He sounds like another player too. I think he sounds a little bit like Kevin Garnett a little bit too. So yeah, but yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it, Mike. Mike Evans, totally. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. We can kind of move on to the next thing here.
Yeah, let's go for it.
There's a video that I wanted to play. It's Fred Warner. He's talking about his happiness with the return of the one and only Dre Greenlaw. I will play it in 1 second. I am the worst with this, guys.
He's searching for it right now in his feed, not through the search. Just, oh, God. I know I came across it. I have sacrificed many chickens to no avail.
All right, here we go.
Okay, there we go.
Almost there. Oh, guys, I'm the worst with this stuff. I'm sorry.
What's it like? You got your boy back.
That's right.
You got your boy back.
Yep.
Tell me what that's like, and like how awful are you guys going to be to the opposing team?
Yes.
And like how bad is Alter Ego Fred and Dre going to be?
Yeah, no, it's bad, bro. It's bad for you, bad for old Matthew, man, bad for everybody going forward, because you just know when it's different when you got such a rapport and like a connection with somebody, man, where every single time I played with Dre for like the 7 years that we played together, there's an unspoken language on the field where I don't have to turn to him and be like, hey, Dre, look for this, or hey, Dre, bum, bum, bum. Like, it's just like, it was unspoken. Like, we're moving together in unison. Like, and it was just so easy because we just had this great vibe with one another, on and off the field. And so it allows you to play even more free when you got a cat like that. And I played with great linebackers, right? I played with D Winters last year, Quan Alexander, and a ton of other ones. But Dre, he's one of the best athletes I've ever played with on a field, and just so ferocious and relentless in the way that he plays the game. And you just love playing with guys like that who just are willing to give it up, right? Like, and just no matter what the situation is, he'll look you dead in your eye, and it's like, God damn, this guy is not playing around. Like, he is looking to tear somebody head off. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's gonna be good to have him back. Yeah. I can't lie. Lie.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys be awful and terrible, and watching us on film. Like, gosh, these guys are so annoying.
Yeah, man. One of the best moves of the offseason in a realistic, you gotta be realistic about it. Injuries and stuff. How much can he play? How much production can he be? But I probably one of the most happier times I was seeing the big play Dre coming back, because there was so many problems last year with our linebacking core. It was just so awful.
Yeah, quite a bit actually. But I think that getting back Dre Greenlaw is going to be huge for the defense. Having both those guys back there, Fred and Dre Greenlaw, is absolutely huge. And we've seen how they are against the run. We see how they are in pass coverage. A lot of times for linebackers or NFL players, the second year from an Achilles is when you actually start to get more of your mobility, more of your speed, more that ability to break towards the ball. Like you get that back in the second year. And even in you're asking Dre Greenlaw to come back after an Achilles tear in the Super Bowl and come back and be ready to play. He tried to come back the year before. Just didn't work out. He did come back with the Niners, but it just, you could tell he just was banged up. His body was not the same. And now he goes to Denver, and then he comes back after a disappointing year that they felt like they were giving him a lot of money. And they felt like he wasn't worth that money. So he comes back here on a 1-year deal. Look, if he comes back and he has a baller year, the Niners will probably try to re-sign him, but who knows what's going to happen. But I like the fact that you have Greenlaw and you still got D Winters, who's behind him. You still got Tatum Bethune, who's behind Fred Warner, and so now you're more comfortable with the guys that are behind them, knowing that these guys can do the job. So now it just makes your linebacking core even deeper. And look, the Niners went down there to his house and tried to persuade him to come back to San Francisco, even though he had already agreed to a contract. So they really wanted this guy. And so it was a no-brainer that they were going to go out and get this guy again. And once Dre got released, I was like, it's only a matter of time. I know it. The only team I thought could have posed a problem would have been the Tennessee Titans. And if Robert Saleh said, hey, man, I want you to be, the captain of our defense. I want you to run the show here. Then he'd probably be like, yeah, let's go. But no, he came right back over here. He wants to be back with his friends, be back with Fred Warner, with Kyle Shanahan. That's why I'm so happy to see Dre Greenlaw back together with Fred Warner. And that's another reason why I want to see Joey Bosa with Nick Bosa. Imagine that. You get the Bosa brothers together and you get Warner and Greenlaw together. That's a match made in heaven, man. And they got to get it done.
They got to just stay healthy, man. That's the biggest thing. That's why the B- came from the grade that I gave, is just the age and the injuries, man. Like that's the thing. Like I have so much excitement, but every time I think about everything, including Dre, because I love Dre Greenlaw, he's one of my favorite 49 players ever, like of all time. The injuries, it sucks.
But that's see, that's what I'm saying though, is that like even if he gets hurt, okay, he's not going to play this week. You got D Winters, and you're like, I know what to expect from this guy. Right. It's not like we're like, oh man, here we go, can he? And yeah, this is his contract year, so it's like if he goes out there, he has to ball out because he's like, well, and you get a contract somewhere. So yeah, if there was ever a year, look, this team is littered with 1-year contracts. It feels like, but it's a year where it's like, hey, we want to go for it. We want to be competitive, and let's give it all you got. Yep. And so that's what it is. Are they an old team? Yes, they're going to be an old team, but this is a team that has a lot of playmakers on it. So I'm excited for it. They have a young
defense. They have an old offense. They have two players that are, their secondary is young. Their defensive line is young, other than Bosa, and their linebacking room is really where the oldest players are. Offensively, we're old. We have an old offense. Everybody's old.
I
Christian
mean,
McCaffrey's
everyone
old.
aside from Brock Purdy, but yeah,
Yeah.
McCaffrey is getting up there. Kittle's getting up there. I mean, they're in their 30s. Obviously, Mike Evans. But still, if you draft a guy like Omar Cooper Jr. or Casey Concepcion, and you got a young receiver that's talented, and you got Ricky Pearsall who's young as well. So I mean, there's ways to get younger through the draft. And again, I think that trade for Trey Lance that really set this team back a lot of years, and they were forced to spend money in free agency in order to make up for the losses in terms of draft picks that they had to give up to get Trey Lance. If they hadn't done that move, man, this team would have been really, really good. If they hadn't traded for Trey Lance, they probably would have won a Super Bowl by now.
Yeah,
I mean, they might have had Micah Parsons, like, holy crap. But I still think, look, when you got a head coach in Kyle Shanahan, you got Raheem Morris back there now on the defense. They brought in, what was his face? The guy they just recently brought in. Who was it on the coaching staff?
The coaching staff. Oh my God.
He's an assistant coach. Anyway.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, oh God, we're bad.
I know. People listening at the gym are like, these guys are fucking idiots.
These guys suck.
These guys suck. Is Grant on right now?
Where's Grant? Where's Larry?
Where's Larry? Pick it up, pickle. But no, I think this team is going to be really fun to watch, and I'm really excited for the season. Getting Mike Evans, he's a big play receiver. Now you got that true red zone threat, just like you saw in Los Angeles. And we start the year. In Australia. I swear to God, if this fucking game is on like at 2 a.m, I'm going to be so fucking pissed that I got to get up the crack of dawn to watch the Niners' first game of the season.
Right.
Fuck
And
that.
if they lose, you know how much more pissed I'd be? Like, I got up for this. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, I got up at the crack of dawn to watch my team fucking lose by a field goal at the end, and not even at home. I mean, the good thing is that this was going to be a road game. This was going to be a game in Los Angeles, and now it's going to be in Australia, I think, if I'm not wrong.
I'm hating all the travel.
It's weird. And not only that, but they have a game in Australia, and they got a game in fucking where? Like Germany or some shit? Like they're traveling.
Aren't they going to Mexico
twice?
too? Aren't they going
Mexico,
down?
that's what it is. Oh, I was fucking way off.
Well, that's going to be a home game because they love us down there.
They do, and that's a quicker flight. But I mean, yeah, they're going to Mexico and shit. But it's going to be a good year for the Niners. I mean, look, they had an easy-ass schedule last season, and with all the injuries, they were still able to be competitive. So I think this year it's going to be a little bit of the same. And I think they're going to be better this season than they were last season. But still, they got to address that edge rusher. They got to get Joey Bosa in here. Just somebody. And look, is Joey Bosa the end-all, be-all of fucking defensive end edge rushers? No.
But, like I said, draft another guy and have him.
He's going to help. He's going to help your defensive line. And he led the league in what do you call it? In forced fumbles. I was like, dude, get this guy in here. We need a playmaker. And to have the Bosa brothers together, along with Greenlaw and Warner, fuck yeah, let's go.
All these old-ass guys.
Like, this is it. And they all fucking know it, too. They all fucking know it. Greenlaw, all these guys, they know, hey, this is the year. They're getting back together again. They're like, hey, this is the year we got to make it happen, dude. Like, if there's ever a year to make it happen, it's got to be this year.
Yeah.
And hopefully they stay healthy and they make it happen.
Yeah. That's all we can hope for. Just at least get healthy coming into training camp. No injuries. Everybody figure out a way to stay healthy getting to training camp. No injuries in the off season. Please.
Mean, we could be like the Jets who went out and reacquired Geno Smith. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, you could be that's what I always tell 49er fans. Nobody says that you have to accept us not winning Super Bowls and coming up short. And I'm not a one person to be like, oh, go be a fan of another team, but like, you could be a Jets fan. That's all I gotta say,
dude. Some of these teams are fucking brutal.
Yeah. You imagine having a what they call a poverty franchise as the team that you root for year after year, and you know they have no chance. Yeah. And like the Niners, say what you want again, but like they put themselves in a position to win 3 Super Bowls since 2013, and they haven't got it done. But they've had really good teams. They just were not the better team on that day. So
yeah,
if you got, I hate to do that because I know I'm the same person that says if you don't win the Super Bowl, the season's a failure. But like, if you want to be a Jets fan, go ahead. But it is what it is. One other thing that I wanted to bring up, it was the podcast, the Bussin' podcast that George Kittle was on. He was actually there was a couple different clips, but this is the one that I wanted to bring up. He was talking about his injury when it happened, and it was really interesting what he kind of went into when he talked about his injury. So let me bring it up.
When I did go down, this is actually crazy. I did do it was Super Bowl week, right? And so
Why didn't it not come up?
And on like
I don't know.
Oh, geez.
This interview, and they it's on Zoom, and they show like a highlight reel, and it's basically like,
that's not the one I
George Kittle,
want.
he's coming up next. What do the Niners have to do differently? And they show Fred Warner breaking his ankle, a highlight clip of him doing that, me tearing my Achilles, Trent Williams pulling his hammy, Brock Purdy going down the toe, like highlights of just all of us getting injured. I'm like, I don't really want to see me tear my Achilles again.
No
guys,
doubt.
could you like relax? But I will say, when I did, because I knew it before I even hit the ground, I was like,
here we go.
that's gonna suck. I'm laying there on the ground. Juice comes up to me, goes, "Hey man," and I'm like, "Yeah, give me a cart." Like, I'm not walking this one off, bud. But then my second thought was, this is really going to mess up my golf game for the entire offseason. Like, that's what I'm laying there in Philadelphia on my back, looking up the sky like, this is going to fuck up my golf game for this whole
There goes the
offseason.
offseason. Yeah.
God, I was so disappointed about that. I will say too, like the first question I asked Alatrosh out of surgery when I was still loopy was, will I be able to golf the end of March at Bandon Dunes with the boys? And he was like, you will be. And I was
said he was about it.
oh yeah. He goes, don't be an idiot. And I was like, sick. Like, I don't know if I can hit a driver yet, but in a boot, I can hit up to, I can go 8 iron and in. And then I have the automatic club that shoots at 260.
So what's Claire mad about?
What? I mean, I didn't get to play in the playoff game. I
He
ruined
gets the
her
golf still.
This is a pretty long clip, by the way.
I don't think my wife
This is
cares
very
that
long.
much.
I love
Yeah, I
Kane
don't think
for
my
an
wife
statement.
cares that
Trade
much
Kittle,
about
why
the golf game.
he's still
You heard
worth
the question
something.
come up, we asked a question. He's
What occurred? Like, what were you doing that was wrong? I'm like, I don't know, dude. It was week 20 of an NFL.
it's like that wasn't even a.
Yeah, no. So
Then you didn't get up.
my biggest thing behind it was like, people were like, well, why did it happen? Because I had like these rehab. People were like, what occurred? Like, what were you doing that was wrong? I'm like, I don't know, dude. It was week 20 of an NFL fucking season.
Yeah.
My body's broken down. Really, like, my biggest thing that I thought it was when I played the Colts on Monday Night Football, I tore like 2 ligaments in my ankle, and then I hurt it again because I kept playing on it. And so then I was like very lopsided, or I was compensating really bad. So I think that was a big part of it too. Like, I was compensating for the last 3 weeks on one ankle.
Yeah, that was the part that I wanted to bring up to you. It was just him talking about the. He was talking about the having an injury already to his ankle and then having to compensate for it. That's crazy.
It is crazy that he tore some ligaments, and we saw against the Colts. I remember he ran a route, and all of a sudden he came out lame, and he was like pissed off, and I was like, oh, what happened? And I thought maybe he strained something. No, he tore 2 ligaments. He kept on playing, and that's why his Achilles ruptured, because his foot was overcompensating. But that begs the question too: is that, if a guy like Kenyon Shadiq out of Oregon, if he's available at 27, maybe you take him, and that allows you to say, hey, George, get 100%. We got a young, new receiving tight end, and you need to get a guy that can come in and kind of spell him. Now, I think they're kind of doing that with Jake Tonjes.
Yeah.
But Tonjes is not as good of a blocking tight end as Kittle.
Yep.
So, people keep talking about Kenyon Shadiq. I still, I don't think they take him. I would love to take him. If he was there, I would take him. But I feel like the Niners are going to be like, well, we still got Jake Tonjes. And, George will be back pretty soon. And they're just going to roll with that. And I still think they go receiver. And like I said, Kirk is replacing Sky Moore. So if he's your Sky Moore replacement, then there's room for one more receiver. I think that's the receiver they're going to draft in the first round.
I think Kirk's going to get offensive snaps for sure.
Oh,
But,
definitely.
Like, I was seeing Larry, he was saying like he can also return kicks. He's sturdy enough. He's built enough.
Oh,
It's too bad that
I think he's definitely going to be the return guy. He's going
It
to
just
be
sucks.
the punt and kick return guy.
Sucks that they gave up Sky Moore. He must have wanted way more money than they were willing to give.
Well,
but
at the same time, look at it this way: Sky Moore has been a fat nothing burger practically his whole career.
Yep.
Last season, he emerged as one of the better return guys in the league. So you got the most out of him you could possibly get up until this point in his career. And now he's like, oh, I'm going to go to the Green Bay and they're going to pay me, I forgot what it was, like $5.5 million or whatever. And I think the Niners were like, hey, look, if we work out a deal with a guy like Christian Kirk, he could be our return guy and he can help us as a receiver where Sky Moore kind of fell a little short. So I think I think this is an upgrade in terms of what Sky Moore provided. This is an upgrade. When you compare Jennings to Evans, in my opinion, I think Evans is an upgrade to Juwan Jennings. Better route runner, bigger. I think he's faster, and he's a proven red zone threat. Now, you still got to get George Kittle back. You still got to get another running back behind CMC. So, we always say, oh, so here's to take on a huge load of snaps. He's going to anyway.
Yes,
unless he's hurt, he's going to do exactly what he did last season.
I hate that. I really do.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it is what it is, but I mean, some of the players they brought in are huge upgrades. The punter, I forgot his name, Corliss, whatever the fuck. He's better, way better than Thomas Morstead.
Morstead was awful last year. My
awful.
God, like he had no leg. I'm like, am I watching myself on television?
Yeah,
They
I thought
cloned
this
my
guy
leg?
was gonna be a crafty veteran. Like, oh man, this guy boots the ball like nobody else.
Dude.
He was
no
lame.
hang time,
Lame duck.
no power, nothing.
No, it's
37-yard punts for the win every single time. Yeah, go ahead.
No, and they brought in Hobbs as well. So to me, let's say he's your replacement for Chase Lucas. He's an upgrade.
Yes, definitely. We thought Chase Lucas was going to be all great and stuff, and then he got into the regular season where he actually was needed, and he played awful.
He played awful, especially late in the year when he had to go in and take over for Upton Stout.
Oh,
he was
bad.
awful. He was getting beat left and right. I was like, oh my God, this guy.
We got to get rid of Luter too. Something needs to happen. Stop bringing back Darrell Luter. He's unbelievably bad, but knowing the Niners and how they just like to hold on to players that suck, he'll probably be back. He'll be in camp next year.
Kenny's right. Chase Lucas was a preseason stud. I was like, man, this guy. And then he just was nothing. You're like,
Zach Martin had some flashes in the preseason too. Nick Martin. Zach Martin? What the hell is that?
Who's
Zach
Martin? I don't know who that is.
I don't know. Nick Martin. Sorry, guys. I'm old and I'm sick.
Nick Martin. Yeah. And then now look at him. He's just like, oh, he's probably still concussed. Where is he now? He's like, oh.
The fact that he had to wait that long before he came off the injured list was something that really, really bothers me. I wanted to end the stream with something on a fun side, because we've been talking about everything we've been talking about. So there was an interview with Barry Sanders.
Barry
He was talking about a team he could have played for if he was playing today. And I guess you guys could pretty much guess what that team was. So I'll bring it up really quick. Here we go. And play.
If you could play in any offense in today's NFL, which offense would you choose or coach?
If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Niners. In this past happy NFL, Shanahan, he's figured out how to run the football. The Niners are one of those few teams that they always been able to run the ball. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, he's taken it to a new level. But think back to Matt Breida, or Raheem Mostert,
Frank Gore, yeah,
George Kittle. He's going to catch his passes, and there just seem to be enough balls to go around for all their skill players. If I had to choose one, then that would be it.
You might have led the league in passing and rushing yards in one season.
If you could play in.
And here we go.
There we go. I mean, I love Barry Sanders. I mean, we're old enough to where we got to see Barry Sanders play in the regular season. He was phenomenal. He was always, he was a human highlight reel. And I think when you listen to what he says, you know, it makes a lot of sense why a guy like Mike Evans decided to come here. Because he's like, hey, one of the things he said was, I mean, obviously the big thing he said was, well, you know, I think they're one piece away. Hey, that's great PR. Great thing to say. But one of the things that Mike Evans did say was that he's always admired Kyle Shanahan and the offense. And so he wanted to come here and, you know, work in a Kyle Shanahan offense. And I love that.
It's, I know a lot of people want Kyle fired. I was seeing some comments early in the chat that say that he sucks and they need to go, and John Gruden would be a better coach. I don't even think John Gruden wants to coach in the league anymore after the crap that he's been through and the legality stuff that he's going through. That would have been a cool like fantasy thing that could have happened. Barry Sanders, to me, I think he's the greatest running back of all time. I think he's better than Emmitt Smith because he didn't have that massive offensive line and 2 stud receivers on the outside like Dallas Cowboys did. But that would have been insane. Knowing Kyle, he probably would have ran him 500 times. So, can you take some touches off of the guy? No, I wouldn't.
I mean, the fact that Christian McCaffrey is so good out of the backfield as a receiver that's where he really utilizes him. Yes, he's a good running back, but man, his route running ability, McCaffrey is just so freaking good. That's why everyone's like, oh, they should convert him into a slot receiver. You know, he's a running back. I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, he's such a threat. I mean, look, if it wasn't for him, he ran that Texas route for a touchdown against the freaking Eagles. And he caught that touchdown to give him the lead. That's how good he is, even at his age. And we talk about it, and we say, oh, he's old. You know, he's only 30 years old or whatever the fuck. He's still good. I wish I was 30 years old.
Me too. I was 16
even then,
years
I felt
ago.
like I was 18. Now I'm 40, 44, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Dude, I was healthy till about 38, 39, and then I've had like 4 surgeries in 5 years, and my body broke down like considerably. Like, I would love to be 30 years old. So.
You think, okay, Kenny's like, hey, Gruden's very good at spotting talent. When he's with the Raiders, they made some horrible draft picks, and he had Mike Mayock as his GM. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
He got a guy from the NFL Network to be his GM. Like, hey, I know
he's
you're really good at
that way
TV.
we make good draft picks. And what did they do with the number 4 pick in the draft? They took Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah.
Like, I love Cleveland Farrell. I mean, hey, he came out the second stint with us, but was he a number 4 pick in the draft? Oh, that guy fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, I swore. Sorry. Somebody was saying to watch my language. I forgot who it was.
Whose parent is in the chat right now? Can you stop,
Rick
please?
Diaz, the great Rick Diaz.
I don't think Rick Diaz likes you very much.
I don't think he does.
Aaron lives.
I mean, that's true. They did pick Brandon Jacobs, and he was good, and Crosby. Still, yeah, Aaron lives at the substation.
My house is literally on top of the substation. There's like a little platform, and then my house sits there. I swear to God. No, I'm just kidding. But everybody, thank you for coming through, supporting the stream. Me and Dre had a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can get things figured out with Sterling with his new job and figure out possibly a different time to do the Cover 3 stream. We thank Mike for coming on and being part of it with us. Dre, till next time, man. It's always fun doing the stream with you. Yep. And until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy. Go Niners. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.